Hey everybody, it's your girl Angie. Welcome back to Kiss My Cheeks TV. Let's get into last night's episode of Survivor. They titled the episode This is Extortion. I'm gonna title it as Jeremy is Exposed. Like, to me, I thought this was Jeremy's exit episode. Jeremy made so many bad moves this episode. I don't know if Jeremy can even recover and win the game. Like, let's just jump into it. Everyone comes back from tribal council. Jeremy, of course, is sitting at camp all alone because he used his advantage. And everyone is pissed that he left camp. And mostly they're pissed because they wanted to vote him out. And no one wants to tell Jeremy what happened at tribal council maybe an hour or so before. And he's like, why you can't tell me? And so I guess out of Jeremy's anger of no one telling him what happened, he decides, well, let me confront Ben. I don't think that was a good move. Why are you telling Ben, you all are going to try to get rid of me, and you get rid of me, you're the next big target. You're the next big man. And Ben is like, no, I think you're a bigger target than me. I don't know why people aren't talking to Jeremy. Like, at the end of the day, if Jeremy would have stayed at tribal council last week, Jeremy would have went home. Even though no one knew about Jeremy's advantage, and say Jeremy said, I'm going to take one for my team, it's going to be 5-5 and we'll draw rocks, whatever they were going to do. Even if they would have went 5-5, Sarah had her advantage. So if Jeremy would have stayed there, he would have went home. And then what y'all was going to say? Oh, we sorry, Jeremy. And we sorry. No, this is $2 million. Peace out, I'm gone. So I don't blame him for that. So now, everyone last week was thinking, well, because the vote didn't make sense because Tyson had 4 votes when I thought Sophie's 5 would have stole Denise's vote and split the votes between, was it Tyson and Michelle? And everyone was like, Michelle must have flipped because Tyson had 4 votes. But Michelle is back at camp talking to, I believe it was Kim or Denise, and she's adamant that she did not flip her vote. Like, she didn't say she didn't flip her vote, but she's like, what just went on? And I'm like, okay, so Michelle, I don't understand. Last week's vote count makes even less sense now. Like, I don't understand what went on last week, but moving on, it's a new week. So Kim played an idol last week, so why is Tony the only one up at the crack of dawn? Like, it's a new idol in the game, let me go find it. Tony is playing a great game. Tony is ready to be the old Tony that we all know and love, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see it. Watching the old Tony, any version of Tony is fun to watch, but the old Tony version is much more fun and exciting to watch. Tony finds the idol. He tells Nick, you go look at the water cooler and I'll go look over here, knowing damn well he already looked at the water cooler. I love Tony, but at least, Nick knew to get up and start looking for the idol. Like, why? Jeremy, you should have been the main one up. You should have been the main one. Why you so sleepy after tribal council? You ain't even go. So you should have been the main one in the middle of the night looking for the idol. You knew you were going home. Anyway, moving on. Now we see a scene of Sarah in a clothing line. That was a no, ma'am. I guess you do anything on the island and entertain yourself to move the time along. But it was like, man, whatever. And then Sarah has the nerve to say, Tony is playing crazy. He wants to save people with idols and play this flashy game. But my social game is so much more better than Tony's. And I'm like, seeing how I've already watched the episode, I'm like, okay, you'll notice as we're reviewing, but I'm going to point out two occasions where Tony's social game is way better than Sarah's. But moving on. So, Tony now says, I'm about to play double agent. I want to make Jeremy, Kim, Denise, and Michelle, I want them to think I'm on their side. And to me, this is one of Tony's best moves because this is a really great play in the game, because it was clear last week at Tribal Council when Sophie said, us five over here, we're going to decide who going home. Sophie drew that line in the sand for 5 people when she didn't have to. And so Tony is thinking, like, I don't want people to think we're a strong 5 over here, so I'm going to come over here and pretend like I want to work with them. Damage control of Sophie's bad move of last Tribal Council. You can't win the game being a bully. Like, it's us 5 and we just going to pick y'all off. No, that's not how you win Survivor. So that was a good move, Tony. But Kim, he underestimated Kim's intelligence. Kim is like, I know Tony lying. And I'm like, and she had to tell it to Denise. Because Denise, Jeremy, and Michelle, they soaked it all up. Like, yes, us 5 against them 4, forget them. And I'm like, why would you even think that when they just blindsided you last week? Jeremy, you were going home. But moving on, why did Denise only tell... why did Kim only tell Denise her theory about Tony double playing them? Why didn't she share this information with Jeremy? Why didn't she share this information with Michelle? I guess because Kim already knew at that point in time, they're sitting ducks, Jeremy has to go. Moving on. Over on, is it the Island of Extinction? Exile Island. All season, I can't get it right. To make it short, Parvati and Natalie find the clue to the advantage. At sunset, they make sure everyone is off to the beach watching the sunset. Natalie grabs the advantage. Her and Parvati run over. It's actually called the extortion advantage, but I call it the disadvantage. They send this over to someone in the game. If you don't pay us the amount of fire tokens or coins, whatever it's called, that we request, you can't participate in the elimination challenge and you can't vote. That is huge. And they're like, we have to send this to someone who we know is going to pay. And then they requested 6, the most amount of requested fire tokens all season. 6 fire tokens, or you have this disadvantage. Now, seeing how the numbers are already 5-4, supposedly, if you break it, they send it to Tony. If you take Tony out of the challenge and you take his vote, it's 4-4. And now you gotta deal with rocks or whatever. So Tony is like, no ma'am, I need to come up with some fire tokens, because Tony only has 3, because he can't be out of the challenge or the vote. The vote to me is the biggest one. But here's reason number 1 why Tony is playing a way better social game than Sarah. Tony, the person who he wanted to vote out, because it was Tony's idea to vote out Jeremy. The person who he wanted to be gone, he was able to go to Jeremy and get a fire token. And really let Jeremy believe, look, man, if they take my vote, I can't vote with you all. And see, what makes Tony so smart is because he knew to go to Michelle and Jeremy. He ain't asked Denise or Kim, because Kim would have blew his game up. She knew he was lying. He went to Michelle first. Michelle had already spent all her fire tokens. And what was that story Michelle was talking about? Like, you should have just said you bought... She said, I bought an advantage for 4 fire tokens. But it's not an advantage in this game. It's an advantage for if I get voted out, I can have it over on Exile Island. That makes no sense. That story makes no sense. Who in their right mind would spend 4 fire tokens on an advantage that's only worth something if you get voted out of the game? Like, if it's not if it's not like if you get voted out of the game, you automatically win the challenge to get back in. It's not worth 4 fire tokens. That story didn't mean anything, but let's move on. But what makes Tony even better is he was able to go to both alliances and get coins, because he got 1 coin from Jeremy, he went and got 1 from Nick, and he went and got 1 from Ben. Who would have been giving Sarah any coins? Definitely no one on the other side. But moving on. It's the Muni Challenge. It's one of those challenges where you got to balance on a balance beam and hold a pole and balance an object on a platform. Simple challenge. It wasn't nothing too exciting about it. Tony wins. And that's what makes it even more exciting, is that Tony should have been at a disadvantage. Jeremy, you would have won that challenge and been safe if you didn't give Tony your fire tokens. Anyway, and he gets to win 2 more fire tokens. Now, Tony is in a dilemma because he won 2 fire tokens, but you owe 3. So, who did you not pay back? Because Jeremy, Nick, and Ben are in your face debt collectors. Where my money? Run me my coins. Run me my coins. Who you gonna make a payment arrangement with? That's what I want to know. Moving on. Okay, we back at camp. This gonna be complicated but very simple. Denise and Kim flipped. Jeremy, you're a sinking ship. Ain't no point of us trying to rally and vote nobody else out. We flipping. You got to go home. So, they don't have the numbers. And they know Tony is on BS. They know Tony is not with them. Okay. So, Tony's plan. So, this is how the vote is supposed to be. This is how the vote is supposed to go down with the Denise and Kim flip. Kim and Sophie supposed to put 2 on Michelle just in case Jeremy has an idol. Nick, Tony, Ben, Sarah, Denise supposed to vote Jeremy. That's 5. Jeremy and Michelle are supposed to do Ben because Jeremy is over Ben. Ben get on his nerves. That was kind of Ben's dilemma his season, but who cares? So that's how the vote was supposed to be split, 2-5-2. Tony is like, I got this necklace around my neck, and I believe by him also having the idol in his pocket, he can play a little bit more fast and loose because he has nothing to lose. Because even if his plan don't work this week and he get found out, he still got an idol. Even if his we gonna get there. So Tony goes, this is reason number 2 why Tony is a better social player than Sarah. A better player than... Tony is playing the best game right now. The best game. Reason number 2. He goes to Nick and was like, you want to get Sophie out? This the best time to get Sophie out while we splitting the votes? Me and you? Whoever I tell Jeremy and Michelle to vote for, they going to vote for him because what else they going to do? Nick was like, okay. It took Nick 2 seconds. 2 seconds. That's all the editing showed. 2 seconds. Nick was like, I don't know, but okay. It was great. It was great. Now, Tony has to tell the plan to Jeremy so Jeremy can tell Michelle. The whole time, Jeremy is like, nah, Kim and Denise, nah, they ain't gonna vote me out. And I'm like, Jeremy, if you mess this up and go home tonight because why does Tony have to lie? Why would Tony come up to you and lie? If the plan was you 5 vote out Ben and Tony comes up to you and say, let's do Sophie, Tony has no reason to lie. If anything, I'm putting my 2 votes on Sophie as a 50-50 because if I'm going home, I'm going home if I vote Sophie or Ben if Tony is a liar. So you might as well try to plan Tony is going for it. I was yelling at the TV when the votes came. I was like this. I was like, because I was like, please, Jeremy, all tribal council, everybody talking their shit and strategies. It wasn't no get up, talk, walk around, all that. So I was nervous because I just didn't know if Jeremy told Michelle and if the plan was gonna go through. So bye, Sophie, girl, bye. Okay, Sophie got voted out. The plan went through. Sophie played a great game. Sophie was playing an excellent winning resume game. But this, to me, first question. Was this move made too soon against Sophie? A part of me says no, because if they would have got rid of Jeremy, I don't think Nick, who would they have had to flip on Sophie next week? Because Sarah would have never flipped. Maybe Kim and Denise, but we don't know where Kim and Denise would have went. Like, I don't know. I feel like you got to strike while the iron is hot and deal with the pieces as they fall. And Tony has an idol in his pocket. Yeah, Sarah pissed next week. Yeah, Kim upset. But you got to strike while you can strike and let the pieces fall. You got an idol. So even whatever anger goes on this week, you know you safe. And then you have the opportunity to win again. This move put a huge target on Tony's back, but I think Tony is the type of player that can play through it. Like I said, he has an idol and he has the ability to win challenges. Now, I do agree. I saw someone on Twitter say he should have voted out Ben instead of Sophie, because Ben is going to be a challenge beast who can knock some of those idol wins out. Ben has to go next for for Tony to make a run for it. But I think after this move, him and Jeremy are going to work together. But Tony has the him and Jeremy can work together, but Tony has the winning resume right now. Like, to me, if Tony is sitting at the final 3, he wins. For this episode alone, if Tony is sitting in the final 3, he wins. Let's take a second to see who's left in the game. I've already said, to me, last week, I don't have any more fantasy picks. So it is what it is. Right, as of right now, Tony is my winner pick if he makes it there. Because I would have gave it to Sophie if Sophie made it there, but Sophie is gone. We still have someone that has to come back from Extinction Island, but I feel like whoever comes back from Extinction is revolving door right back out. Ben is left, but Ben doesn't have any moves. He's a follower. Nick has the ability to make a move. Nick has to vote out Tony. Nick has to somehow get out Tony to get up there. Jeremy and Michelle, y'all play so stupid this game. You all have to vote out everybody. Y'all just have to go start voting it out. Sarah, I don't know. Kim and Denise. Kim is playing a great game. Denise has turned into a follower. All right, y'all. Get in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this week's episode. It was a great episode. This was a great episode. It looks like next week Tony is going extreme old Tony. He has a spy nest. I can't wait to see the spy nest. Anyway, you all, like I said, let's comment, like, comment, share, all that good stuff, and I will get with you all next week for some more Survivor. Bye.